On today's lesson, we're going to add integers, which is lesson 3-2, pages 203 to 210 out of your textbook. On that, there are, 5, 6 standards here. I highlighted what I think is important out of those. Horizontal, vertical number lines are going to be used. And when you do that, horizontal is what you're used to. They lay flat. Vertical would be like a thermometer. You'll see situations. Opposite quantities, it's in blue there. Opposite quantities combine to make 0. You need to know that if you put 5 and -5 together, you make 0. Then you come down here. There's actually a name for that when you put 5 and -5 together to get 0. It's called additive inverse. And we're going to cover that today. Integers like 2 and -2 are called opposites because they are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides. Complete the graphic organizers about opposites. And we're not completing the graphic organizer. Instead, we're going to fill in the number line here, which is the horizontal number line. And we put 2 and -2, the purple dots. Two integers that are opposites are also called additive inverse. The additive inverse property states that the sum of any number and its additive inverse is 0. So that you can see, if you start at 0 and you have 2 plus -2, you're going to go 2 plus -2, and you'll end up back at 0. Again, I have this on Pear Deck, so if you see a place, you can put in an answer on a piece of paper and pause, put an answer in, but you can't participate with the Pear Deck right now. So the temperature outside is -5. How many degrees would the temperature have to rise to get back to 0? Here's one of the vertical number lines, a thermometer. So if you're at -5, how many degrees to get back to 0? 5 is correct. So what is 5 and -5 an example of? Additive inverse is correct. To add integers with the same sign, add their absolute values. You can do that if you wish, but I look at it this way. 7 plus 4 is 11. So that makes sense to me that -7 plus -4 would have to be -11. It makes sense to me. You could do the absolute value and see that the absolute value of -7 is 7. Absolute value of -4 is 4. 7 plus 4 is 11. Since they're both negative, then put the negative sign back on. I find that too complicated. So I'm going to tell you to go, if you know 7 plus 4 is 11, then you know -7 plus -4 has to be -11. It's easier in my mind that way. Here's some problems to work out. Again, I'm going to go through them. You go ahead and pause, answer them, so forth. -5 plus -7 is -12. -10 plus -4 is, I know 10 plus 4 is 14, therefore -10 plus -4 has to be -14. -14 plus -16, two-digit numbers. Ugh. And the answer is -30. Now, if you're going to find 5, again, you start at 0, you go 5, plus a -3. You're going to go to the left. When you add a negative, you're going to go back to the left. So this is different than what you're used to. Normally, you would call this 5 minus 3. But now we're dealing with adding integers. We're going to add a negative. So 5 plus -3 equals 2. Same as subtracting 3. That's what you'll see here. Draw arrows to show -5 plus 3. So again, if we drew the arrow, which I can't do right now, but if we drew the arrow, it would be 0 to -5. And then we'd add 3, and we'd get back to -2. On the Pear Deck, we can do that. Again, you just have to kind of visualize it. Why does 5 plus -3 equal 2, and -5 plus 3 equal 2? 5 plus -3 equals 2. -5 plus 3 equals -2. Why is that? I need you to pause, take a moment to look at those two numbers. Okay. And hopefully you see the 5 is greater than the 3. The 5 is positive, so the answer is going to be 2. Here, the absolute value of 5 is -5 is 5, and that makes it greater than 3. That has a negative sign. Therefore, the answer is going to be -2. Place a dot on the number line to answer this problem. Again, you can't do that, but what is 6 plus negative 7? And hopefully you came up with negative 1. Negative 15 plus 19. Well, the 19 is a larger number than 15, and there's 4 difference between 15 and 19, so the answer would be positive 4. I would go 19 to the right, and I'd come 15 back and end up at positive 4. Or in this case, I'd go 15 to the left, come back 19, and end up at positive 4. 10 plus negative 12. Again, we start at 0, go to 10, come back 12 because we're going negative, and we'd end up at negative 2. Ooh, 7 plus negative 7. Hopefully you recognize that as the additive inverse because they end up being 0. Tricky one. 3 numbers. Negative 8 plus 6 plus negative 6. Well, again, I'm hoping you see 6 plus negative 6 are additive inverse, so they end up being 0. The answer is negative 8. Look for things like that as you do work. Negative 6 plus negative 8. This would be multiple choice. I'm sorry, it'd be negative 14. Negative 3 plus 10 would be positive 7. Negative 8 plus negative 4 plus 12. I know negative 8 and negative 4 equal negative 12. And negative 12 plus 12 are additive inverse. Therefore, the answer would be 0. These 2 rules, remember these 2 rules when adding integers. When you add a positive to another number, you move to the right. No matter what this first number is, if it's negative or if it's positive, I go from 0 to that first number. And then if I add a 7, I'm going to go 7 to the right. Conversely, when you add a negative number to another number, you move left on the number line. Again, no matter what this red number is, no matter what the first number is, I go from 0 to that first number. And then I'm going to add a negative number. I'm going to go to the left. If this were positive 4, then I would go positive 4, and then I go plus negative 3 back to the left. You have to remember those 2 rules for us to move on to subtraction. And that'll be next week. In 1 minute, please write down one thing you learned today. And that's it. There's work for you to do. Check Google Classroom, and the assignments are there. You're done with this assignment unless you want to come back and rewatch it. You have a nice day.